Dr. Cal Heinrich, and I'm the practitioner, the owner of Nevada Orthodontic Care, and over a period of years I've developed a particular way of how to brush, and I call it the push and wiggle technique. Now the reason I call it push and wiggle is because there's the push before the wiggle. Now you might say, well, that's pretty, what's the big deal about that? But what we find out is if people don't do that, if they don't push the bristles past the metalwork before they start moving the brush, then when they are brushing, they're just polishing metal. Now the metal was polished in a factory, so we're not interested in metal. We're interested in the patient. So what you have to do is you have to push the bristles past that metalwork, and then you only begin moving the brush. And that's a real big important point. So that's what we call it. We call it the push and wiggle technique. Now, if someone doesn't brush very well with braces, we're always worried that they may need gum surgery or get white marks on their teeth or something like that. That's why it's such a big deal to get the brushing proper with orthodontics. And you can see the differences in the two images there between someone who brushes poorly and someone who brushes well. So that's the purpose of this demonstration. And we have Nalita with us today, and I'm going to demonstrate that. Okay, so now we're starting with the push and wiggle technique. So we have a patient here who's a pretty good brusher, actually. There's a little swelling here, a little swelling there, and nothing too serious, but she's basically a good brusher. But I'm going to use Nalita here as a demonstration model for us. So now again, with the brush, we recommend bristles that maybe brushes that don't have bristles that are terribly dense, because it makes it a little bit easier to get the bristles past the metalwork on the push. So here's the push, and then here comes the wiggle. And here's the technique that we should be using then, is this push and then the wiggle of the toothbrush. Now what most people do is they do this. They just go, oh, who cares about that push and wiggle thing? I'm just going to brush my teeth like this. So what they end up doing is just brushing and polishing the metal. But I know I'm repeating myself, but it's very important, so you really want to push those bristles past the metalwork, and again go like that. Now after you do 2 or 3 teeth like that all the way around, then you would take the bristles and you would put them this way, and you would push and then you would wiggle like that. Okay, so you push and then the wiggle like that. Okay, so that's the 2 steps. Now we recommend you don't put a whole strip of toothpaste on, maybe just a little dot of toothpaste rather than a whole strip of toothpaste, because you put a whole strip on, it just runs all over the face, So those are, now when it comes to the regular biting surfaces and the tongue side, well then that doesn't require any pushing and wiggling. You just do the regular stroke like that. And on the lower it would be the same thing. You would angle it down and you would push it down, and then you would wiggle. And you would go do 2 other teeth or 3 other teeth and push it down on a 45-degree angle where you see that slant, and then you would wiggle and go all the way around. And then on this one it would be on a slant and coming underneath. So it's a 45-degree slant, not straight up and down, not 90 degrees. Let's go at a 45-degree angle like that, and there we go like that. So that's the technique, the push and wiggle.